Hey folks, it's Global Politics with Jim Martin. I want to talk today about the negotiations that are happening in Oman, facilitated by a few different countries, discussions between the United States and Iran, specifically over Iran's nuclear program. Now, for those of you who follow my channel or keep up with these sorts of things, you know that Iran has suffered a series of setbacks over the last year that have led their position to be rather precarious in the broader Middle East. That said, they still have a nuclear program. To the degree that we want to understand what their motivations are behind that, of course, you could have a civilian nuclear program to generate electricity and things like that. They could use that. It wouldn't be a terrible thing. They have a functioning nuclear reactor for that purpose. However, they've been going beyond that for some time to refine uranium far beyond the needs of a civilian nuclear program. They've also been digging in these facilities for some years, really since the JCPOA was voided out by the Trump administration in his first term. They've been digging in facilities across the country that are deep within Iran. These aren't things that are just in cities or just on the coastlines. These are deep in the mountainous hinterlands of Iran, very inaccessible places. You can look them up on Google Earth if you want to. I'll probably put up a couple pictures. This negotiation process is happening, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is led by state financier Steve Witkoff, the Trump administration's Middle East envoy and sometime Ukraine person. What could we expect from this? I don't know. The stated goal is that Iran would completely get rid of its entire nuclear program, civilian and otherwise. I don't think that that's realistic in any way, shape, or form. They have extensive infrastructure, and it's not in their interest. I mean, frankly, if you think about Iran from a sober, realistic standpoint, they are faced on several sides with potentially dangerous enemies. Russia to the north, I know currently they are erstwhile allies and suppliers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's always going to be the case. They are faced with Saudi Arabia to their west, who has been an existential threat. Furthermore, you have Israel just over the horizon, who is quite hostile, to say the least. Nonetheless, the United States has also maintained an adversarial relationship with Iran for quite some time, 1979. These talks, what might they achieve? I can't imagine that the Iranians view this as anything more than an opportunity for them to gain sanctions relief. They've been crushed by sanctions really for decades and decades, but particularly so since the United States withdrew from the JCPOA. You don't have a lot of business that has picked up in the wake of some of those sanction regimes falling off at times. Because Iran is a difficult place to do business in, and especially now when it's under the threat of military attack. They want sanctions relief. They want to normalize relations with the West to some degree and gain some measure of security for their economy. It's uncertain, really, if they really want nuclear weapons or not. I've seen estimates for years that say that Iran is 6 months away from having a nuclear weapon, or 4 months away, or a year away. And those are the same estimates I see now. I'm not sure that if they hadn't wanted to do it by now, that they wouldn't. They want the potential threat of doing it in their back pocket. Obviously, taking a step back from that would be risky for them as a regime. It also wouldn't be a surprise if they were further along than people thought. What's the prospects of us attacking? And as usually happens with things like this, we have negotiators in Oman who are working out things with their intermediaries and talking to the Iranians through them. Not any negative news out of it, But we also recently moved a second aircraft carrier battle group to the region and moved significant air assets to Jordan and significant air assets to Diego Garcia out in the Indian Ocean, B-2s and the like. Is it likely that we could substantially damage or destroy the Iranian nuclear capacity with a sustained air campaign? It would be difficult because, as I mentioned, many of these facilities are located well inland, and that puts American airmen at serious risk. You are also flying into a densely defended airspace and being in that airspace for a long time to achieve that. And I know that you have missiles and you have cruise missiles and all the rest. There's nothing quite as important as being able to actually put munitions on target from actual aircraft to make sure the job is done properly. Imagine a situation where the United States was to have aircraft shot down over Iran and aircrew captured. A sustained, serious attack on Iranian nuclear infrastructure would almost certainly result in some captured air crews, and that's not something that anybody in the United States wants to deal with, even Donald Trump. So I don't know that it's particularly likely that an attack would also get the job done, because again, they've been dispersing this stuff and digging it in for so long. It's unlikely that a military attack develops out of this. What's the best case scenario? Probably a return to something like Obama's JCPOA. That's probably about the best you could hope for. And I think that both sides would probably welcome that in a normal time. It's hard to say, though. There are a lot of people in the Trump administration that bear a great deal of animosity towards Iran for a whole range of reasons. Could this become an emotional decision? It sure could. We can't preclude that in this administration. Hope you all enjoy this. If you have some context that is beyond what I know, which is always likely, you can definitely share that in the comments. I look forward to that. And I hope you have a good one. And I look forward to speaking to you again on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.